3 rounds, 3 yards, 3 seconds. That is your average self-defense scenario. And I wanted to kind of just go through that today and try to illustrate that, because it's something that you hear a lot. You hear a lot about self-defense, and people will say, oh, you can't use revolvers. You don't need to use those antiquated revolvers because multiple attackers, or you're going to be out in 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds. Therefore, they're absolutely an awful choice. So you need a high capacity 9mm. Well, if you do read a lot of the statistics and you watch videos from time to time, you do see that 333 really is what you see a lot. 3 rounds, 3 yards, 3 seconds. So I want to put that to the test today. So what we have here is we have Billy. He's going to be our stand-in, and I actually cut him out of my body size, so he's a pretty big guy here. So what I want to do is I want to test a couple different things here. Now, Billy's very angry with me. I don't know why. Maybe he hates my political views or my religion, or maybe I threw his brother off a skyscraper years ago, and I don't know who this is. But either way, he's very angry with me, and he wants to kill me. So what I want to do is, from 3 yards, do some typical self-defense drills. And what you see, if you really do the research, is it's not a perfect two-handed grip. It is not any of this. It is legitimately 3 rounds. Typically fired one-handed. So that's what I want to do. I want to pull up one-handed, 3 rounds, and just see how well I can do with different guns. Now, the reason why I'm using what I'm using today is these are both considered basically duty guns. And a lot of people have the misconception, I absolutely hate automatics, and I don't. I really don't. I really like semi-automatics, but it's always been my experience and my opinion that once you get up into bigger guns like this, once you have to use that real estate on your belt, it's better to carry something like this. And the reason why is because when you go into about an average size 9mm, you're very reliable and you have a lot of power there. As where something like this 357, you know, it would be hard for me to justify carrying that when you got the weight, the real estate on your belt. But when we go to pocket guns, is the reliability of that little LCP or anything like it as good as a little J-frame revolver? No. And when we go on very powerful guns, let's say we have 10mm versus 44 mag, does that reliability, is it there? No. It really is in these duty sized guns. So after we do this drill with Billy attacking me, I want to do another thing here. You always hear about this, and this is Billy's friend Willie. After I shoot Billy, he might attack me and actually get on top of me, or have a few other friends to where I cannot defend myself. I'm pinned down, something like that. And what I have here is a pocket gun, and I'm going to press against him and see which guns are more reliable. You always hear that revolvers, snub-nose revolvers, or revolvers in general, are more reliable for the contact shots, and I want to put that to the test. And by the way, what's in here is there's a couple pillows, there's a bunch of fabric, there's a thick layer of carpet, and there's actually a pine board, so that we really do have something to really press against to really simulate this well. So enough talk with this. Let's get started with the test and just test this and see, you know, 333, is a revolver still legitimate? So let's get started with the test. All right, so I am 3 yards from the target, and I'm carrying my Ruger Security 9. We're loaded up with Remington HTP 115 grain plus Ps. This is how I carry it. I have a thumb strap and I have the safety on, but I have one in the chamber. So I'm not going to do any yelling or anything like that. I'm just going to pull up. I'll try to do 2 to the body, 1 to the head, and just see how I can do it from 3 yards one-handed. So, sensing danger, here we go. That's your average situation right there. One here, one up here. So that 9mm does really, really well for me. We'll do it again. Did it again. That time I put 2 hands on there. So I'll do that with all these guns. I'll do one-handed, then I'll do two-handed to see how those compare. So we did pretty well here. 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. So let's try something else. All right, next up, I'm using 357 Magnum and my 4-inch 686 full power 357 Remington HTP semi-jacketed soft point 125 grain. They do about 1450 feet per second, so definitely a full power load here. So just like with that 9mm, I'm going to pull out, do one-handed, and then I'll try it again two-handed. So here we are. So, right between the eyes, one in this circle I have here. One's a little bit high, but it's a 357 Magnum, so it's definitely got a little bit of knockdown power there. Probably a little bit more than that 9mm, so I'd say he's definitely done for. Kind of difficult to draw though through this coat, so I'll do two-handed now. That time I got both in the circle there, right in the center mass, and then again right about here. So let's go on to the pocket guns and just see how those compare. All right, next up I have my Ruger LCP. I have 6+1 in this thing. I'm going to put it in my pocket without a holster very carefully here, just to try to make this fair, because I don't want to say one holster is better than another, and you know, you might have different holsters here. But we have 99 grain, I believe it is, Remington Golden Saber. No, it's 102 grain Remington Golden Saber. So we're going to do the same thing with the little pocket 380 here. So let's see what we can do here. Does look like I missed the headshot. I pulled a little bit high, just barely missing, but the two in the body were right on, so a little bit difficult. And I'm being very careful with this pistol. So here we go. Now we'll do it with two hands. Okay. Got one in the circle here. One's a little bit low. And then one just right in the middle of the head. So this shoots a little bit better two-handed, so let's try that Revolver. 38 Special, I got 110 grain Remington HTP semi-jacketed soft point. So the 380 was 102 grain, this is 110 grain. So trying to keep this really simple and fair. Carefully put this in my pocket, and we'll just bring this out one hand and see how this does. All right. One's a little low, one's dead center. That's the best shot I've made so far. And the headshot is just a little bit to the right for me, to the left for me, I should say. Let me put in one more round in here since this only holds 5, and we'll repeat that. All right, this time two-handed. That one did excellent for me. One dead center, one still in the circle a little low, one right in the upper lip. So in this test, the only one I missed was with that little LCP. I missed one of those 380s. So 3, 3, and 3. I'm not trying to say the Revolver won this. I'm just saying that for me today, I happen to do better. But obviously we can throw that miss out for anybody else, and we can just kind of say, hey, this is pretty even. They're all landing 3 shots just the same. So let's move on to just see how well these guns do against Billy's friend Willie. All right, we're going to do those contact shots. Now, I'm not going to lay on the ground or anything like that. That'd be kind of difficult here. But one thing about contact shots is you can pretty much almost say they're almost always going to be a clean shoot, because if you're in that situation, if you're either being pinned down by attackers or you're a woman being assaulted in some way. So to get that contact shot would definitely be, in my opinion, kind of hard to disprove that you needed that shot. So We'll start with the revolver. We'll just do one shot. We'll press up really tight against them. So let's do the 38 here. All right, that is impressive. That's warm. I had a pine board in here. I had all kinds of stuff in here, and bed pillows and all kinds of stuff here. And this is the HTP semi-jacketed soft point. Thing is really mangled up. It's plugged with this shirt right there. Was not expecting to catch that. It is a standard pressure. That's definitely very interesting. So we'll see if that 380 can do that. Let's try that. Now with that 38, it only fired one shot, but it wouldn't matter. That gun's going to continue to fire no matter how many shots. But the question is, with the semi-auto pushed out of battery, how many shots are we going to get? So we're loaded up with those golden sabers. So we'll press really hard here. See how many shots we get off. None. None. It ain't going to fire. This one, when I pressed right there, there was just a little amount that it wasn't pushing the slide. You see how you tilt it down, the slide comes up, pushes out of battery. But if it's pushed in from the bottom here, it'll go. Interesting. So it did about the same thing with those two shots. It blew a hole through his shirt. And this went through because I fired two shots. I'm going to fire one shot by itself just out of curiosity and see if we can stop at 380 the way we did the 38. You know, because obviously the second shot would push the first one out of the way. So we'll just do one shot here. And you can see a big difference here because when we shoot this from really close up here, you know, when we do a contact shot with the 380, it did that. But when we're back a few inches, it didn't do anything like that. So it does look like this went through. That's interesting how the 38 stopped like that, but the 380s are pushing right through. Let's try the bigger guns and see how that compares. I know everybody's going to want to see a 357 Magnum go through this. All right, 9mm. You know, there's a little bit more heft to this gun, so if we push it up against there, will it jam? Yeah, pushed it out of the battery. So I have to back up. Up. See, I've never seen that happen before. I've never heard this talked about before, so I'm going to carefully set this here so it don't fall, and then I'm going to show you guys here. So I've never actually heard of this talked about before. Now, I backed it away just enough to get that shot. Even when it was backed away, somehow we have fabric under the sight. This is clearly out of battery. See, I'm trying to be careful here because the muzzle direction. It sucked that fabric right into this. All right, got that cleared. It's empty. No harm done. But that was definitely interesting because I didn't know that could even happen like that. So let's take a look at him. Obviously, that's going to go right through. There's not even much of an exit hole. Just went zipped right through. Interesting. This is where that 38 hit. That's why it didn't go through all the way. It hit the wood and came back. So it would have went through him, but it hit the wood and came back. So full power 357 mag. That was weird. I can't imagine much worse than that for the bad guy. A 4-inch full power 357 Magnum. That close. I can't imagine that. So interesting here. He was actually smoking for about 30 seconds. Smoke coming off. And I don't see a whole lot with any holes. I mean, there's little tiny holes, but it didn't do really what the 38 did, because it just went through a lot faster. So that's definitely very interesting, to say the least. We'll clean you up here. All right, now what I want to explore is what people seem to think they need for self-defense, and that's a lot of rounds. So I got, I believe, 12 rounds in this pistol right now of those HTP hollow points. I'm from about 7.5 yards, you know, and I just want to shoot at Wooly here. I'm just going to put all the rounds into him, and I'm going to do it as fast as I think I can, because that's what people seem to think they need. So let's see what I can do. Not sure if I missed him or not, but that's what you got. Let's try something else. All right, we got those full power 357. This is the classic law enforcement load that was used for decades. I'm going to fire off what I think would be more than enough to stop an attacker. So this would be what I would think you would need. 2 rounds. Your average is 3, but with a higher powered cartridge, it seems like it would be less. But let's do all 6. So I think I hit him. So that's what you get today. Just your 3, 3, and 3. This is just my opinion here, and this is just some of the statistical data I've read, and this is just some of the videos I've seen. In fact, most of the videos I've seen where legitimate self-defense shooting happened, other than in law enforcement. And a lot of people are looking at these law enforcement videos and saying, well, that's what I need. But in my opinion, I think it's a little bit off to think that way. There's a big reason why. When law enforcement officers typically try to shoot somebody like that, and they're shooting them like 13, 14, 15 times, it's because that person won't stop. That person usually doesn't stop because they're committing suicide by a cop. They're pushing through the pain. They're pushing through all of that. They know they're going to die, so they just keep coming. And you see that a lot of times in these dash cam or body cam footages nowadays. But what you typically see when we're talking about just civilian self-defense footage, you don't see a lot of footage because, you know, obviously people aren't wearing cameras, but what you see oftentimes is you see somebody fire one shot and the attacker kind of goes like this and they run away or they fall or whatever normal reaction is, and that's because they don't want to die for some stupid little crime. You know, they're probably swinging at you because they're mad at you, like Billy and Willie here. Or they're trying to rob you or something, and one bullet going into him, he's gonna kind of think, is this really something I want bad enough to die for? And if he's lucky enough that the person only fired one shot and he survives that, you know, that's typically what you see. You don't see a lot of these just massive amounts of rounds unless it's like a terrorist or it's a person that is just suicide by cop, and those are legitimate threats for people. So I'm not trying to say, hey, don't carry high capacity. A lot of people are saying, you know, that's why I carry like that, and that's fine. That's absolutely legitimate. But my point here is they're taking that information of those really extreme situations and saying that that's what's going to happen in every self-defense scenario, and I'm saying, well, that's actually probably only going to happen in 1/2 of 1% of your scenarios. Your normal scenario is three shots, 3 yards, 3 seconds. So that's just my illustration of all of that. So tell me what you think. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.